Hey guys, welcome back. Now, on the precipice of the US election, everyone in crypto is sat waiting on tenterhooks, wondering which way it's going to go. Are we headed for another 4 years of Operation Choke Point and every legitimate crypto company being sued? Or will we get a change of the guard? Will we fire Gary Gensler and finally let this market free to soar? Well, in this video, we'll be building on the one from last week where we're looking at the top 3 scenarios of the most likely way this end of the year is going to play out. Will it be the spooky 2016 scenario, the monetary policy 2019 scenario, or the typical halving year scenario? Each one gives different results of how the end of this year might play out, so let's go over each one so we know what may be coming our way. Okay, so first up, if you recall, Ethereum has been on track and tracking a very spooky scenario from 2016. And so we are beginning with scenario number 1 from 2016, and this was pointed out to me a few months ago from Ben at Into the Cryptoverse. And it's something I've been following for a few months, and I honestly didn't think it would continue to play out. However, it has continued to play out. So this is Ethereum's USD chart. And the comparison is, this is obviously the year that we're going through, where it's not been a great year for Ethereum, starting from January. And the comparison is what happened all the way back in 2016. And considering Ethereum had only just come out end of the last year, this was so very new. But essentially, this is what has been going on. So in 2024, it started January, February, March with 3 green months, followed by a red month, green, 3 red, green, red, and currently it's red. And in 2016, it had done pretty much exactly the same things. Starting here in January, 3 green months, red, green, triple red, green, and then it predicts triple red, being October, November, and December. And November's number, obviously, this is just before the election, which is also currently red. So you have to say this is pretty spooky how history can repeat so closely. Now, if I was a betting man and Trump wins the election, I honestly don't see how the crypto market finishes the year in red. But who the hell knows, right? So this is a legitimate scenario that is playing out that we just need to keep an eye on. And out of the 3 scenarios, it is probably the worst. Now, next we have the scenario which happened in 2019, and this one represents what was going on with monetary policy. In that, similar to today, the Fed had been hiking up rates, they'd kept them higher for longer, and they just started cutting. So in 2019, you can see rates had been rising, we'd had this higher for longer, and then 2019, rates had begun cutting. Also in 2019, there was a mid-cycle top as well, similar to what we've all just gone through. So the crypto market had bottomed here. We'd had this crazy recovery into a mid-cycle top, and then it's this scenario here, which is really similar to what's been going on. Is this an indication of what's been going on with monetary policy? Rates being kept higher for longer, and then as rates begin falling, it does take time for this to kick in. The weakness is just a reflection of these high rates. So what does this suggest? Well, again, it says that November and December are both going to be red months. And it's not until January where we get a good month. Now, this went on to COVID. This is the COVID candle here. So this is a bit of an anomaly. This is also before the actual halving. So we do have to bear that in mind as well. But so far, this is continuing to play out. And if you think liquidity will save the day, when we overlay the global liquidity candles, what do we see? Well, liquidity was pretty flat. There was some small growth happening, even though the market was coming down. And then once COVID had happened and we got these massive liquidity injections, it did take some time and a hell of a lot of liquidity to get things back to where they were. So we're probably, because we're not in a crisis, we're not going to see the same massive liquidity injections that we had here. So liquidity may take a little longer, which is why the end of the year could be weak, and it's 2025 where things would pick back up. So again, not saying this is going to happen, but we just have to bear in mind this is a possible scenario for the next 2 months before we get into next year. And then the most bullish scenario is we have the typical halving year and election year. So this happens every 4 years. 2024 being this year, so we'd have to go back to 2020. This is your typical halving year. And at the end of the year, it's a super strong October, November, December. November being the election month, so this would suggest that it would be a massive November, followed by a massive December. So clearly the most bullish scenario, and this one for all us crypto fans is the one we'd want to see, right? And then the post-halving year, the fun just continues. 15%, 37%, another 30%, so Q1 being strong. And then the last halving year, 2016, we go back, what do we see? Again, a good October, a good November, and a very strong December, and this being the election month here. So your typical halving year and election year, clearly this is super strong for Bitcoin. And finally, what about Ethereum and altcoins? Well, going back to 2020, we can see this is what we want to happen. For Ethereum, the election month, if things go our way, could be a 60% gain, which would be epic, followed by a super strong another 20% for December, which would be epic, Merry Christmas, followed by, check out Q1, almost 80%, 8%, 35%, 44%. So clearly the halving year, election year is super strong. And then 2016, this is the first one that we saw where Ethereum was tracking this year like for like. So this one was actually negative 20 and 6. However, an important point to remember in this video is that no matter which scenario that we looked at, whether it was 2016, 2019 or halving years, look what happened the following year. So 2016, even if November, December is bad, check out the following year. 30%, 50%, 200%, just a crazy epic year. 2019, the monetary policy one, even if it's a weak November and December, check out the following year. 40%, 20%, big correction here, but then 55%, 12%, pretty flat, 54%, 25%, so it's an epic year. And then if it's a halving year, as we saw the following year, every scenario, our equivalent would be 2025. It would look to be, if history repeats, there is no scenario where next year crypto doesn't massively outperform everything else. On the precipice of the US election, everyone in crypto is on tenterhooks wondering which way it's going to go. And today we covered the three main scenarios. The first was the spooky scenario from 2016 and Ethereum, which suggests a red November and December. Then we had the monetary policy of 2019, which again suggests a weak end to the year. Or will it be the typical halving year and election year where we'll see a massive breakout and super strong finish to the end of the year? Well, finally, just remember this. No matter which scenario happens, they all point to a very strong 2025. In every scenario, crypto went on to do extremely well. So this is just the last 2 months. If history repeats, 2025 will be an epic year for crypto, and it will massively outperform everything else. So there you are, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Now let me know which scenario you think is going to play out below. Any questions or comments, post them below, but just remember to get rid of 100% of the comment spam and trading bots that plague YouTube comments. We are trying out the new SuperThanks Commenting system. So to get your question or comment read and replied to, or just to say thanks, then use SuperThanks below. And for now, just to say, if you did enjoy anything in the video, then drop a like, and a big thank you to everyone who does, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.